The Federal Reserve is considering a digital dollar.
What the central bank digital currency is all about is surveilling Americans and controlling behavior.
Technology like central bank digital coins have the potential to reshape the financial system.
Would it actually benefit the public that we serve? That's the question that we're asking.
Digital currency that is centralized, that's controlled by the government.
Right.
That scares the shit out of me.
Governments and central banks across the world are working together, looking into what having a digital currency might mean in practice.
We won't need cash no more, and we can be monitored all the time.
CBDCs will fix nothing. They will only be more oppressive.
We're the world's reserve currency. The dollar is so important. We need to get this right.
People keep talking about this digital currency. What does this mean? I mean, is this good? Is it bad? Does it matter? A lot of people think this is like the end, but that isn't the case. We've been in a digital realm for a long time. Everything we do is digital. How often do you actually take cash out and pay cash for something? So when you really think about the digital currency and the new world that we might be in with digital currency, what is that gonna mean for you? Let's dive into that because this is an important topic, one that I get all the time, one that I've done a lot of research on, and that's what we're gonna uncover today. My name's Chris Naugle. This is What Now? What's next? So let's dive into this digital currency world and what it could mean. CBDC, if you don't know what that means, it means central bank digital currency. So this is already in beta. Now, you've probably heard about this, but they're already testing this. Matter of fact, China's already using this, and other parts of the world are already using this, and some have even rolled this out. But yet we don't really hear about it because we're so used to our fiat money system. You've got banks collapsing like Silicon Valley and Signature Bank and First Republic getting bought out or just, shifting our deposits over to save the bank with uninsured depositors' money, your money and my money. So there's a lot of hanky-panky going on out there. But what does digital currency mean when they adopt it and when it all comes into play? And why would they want to change this? Why would the Fed want to go off of the current fiat dollars and go to a digital dollar? It's all about control. They want control. And they're going to get it. Whether we like it or not, they're going to have control of the currency. Yeah, so what are some of the bad sides about this? So let's talk about what a CBDC, a digital currency, could mean. Well, they could control everything. They could control how much you get paid. They will never not know how much tax you owe. They will never not know where your money's going. They will always be able to track every single dollar. Digital currency is what we're using today. It's what we've been using in a roundabout way. Everything we buy is on a credit card. Those are all trackable. Every wire that we're sending is through a digital system. That's all trackable. Every single time we transfer money using Venmo or Zelle or PayPal, it's all trackable. And you more than likely get a 1099 at the end of the year for some of those transfers, whether you're sending it or you're receiving it. But once the government takes control of this, now, I don't believe the government can do anything better than what we can do. I am completely convinced the government, when they put their hands on it, they screw everything up. Just look at Social Security. That wasn't a very difficult thing to figure out. Hey, you work, part of your paycheck goes to this thing called Social Security to help supplement and provide supplemental retirement for people. They messed that up. Now Social Security's broke. Why? Because they don't know how to manage it. They don't know how to manage money. It's kind of like the kid in the cookie jar. You got too many hands in the cookie jar taking money. Oh, we'll just take it from here and put it over here. And then all of a sudden, whoops, we're broke.
Hey, where cookies go?
Oh, what does that mean? Well, print more money. Oh, what does printing money do? Causes inflation. What does inflation do? Causes the Fed to overreact and raise interest rates 8 times so far. And what does that do? Makes everything more expensive. And what does that do? Collapse banks. I don't even know where to end with that one, but you get the drift. So digital currency is going to be a part of our future, so get used to it. So when I get people saying,
oh my God, what does that mean for the infinite banking concept? What does that mean for this? What does that mean for that?
Nothing. It just means the way you transact, the way you get paid, the way you use money will all be digital. You just won't have dollars. You have little cards or whatever they figure out. Hopefully you don't get the mark, you know, that mark of the beast that we've heard of, where that's how you pay, you just kind of flash your wrist. I hope we don't go there because that would be freaky. Let me pause. Now some of you, while listening to me, have seen this little black flash running back and forth. That is our new kitten. His name's Chase. Chase would love for you to subscribe by clicking that little button. Subscribe to this channel and also click that little bell so that you're alerted every time we put up a new video. Chase would appreciate it. This country, the United States of America, uses the US dollar. You can't transact or exchange anything other than the US dollar to buy goods and services here, right? That's how they've designed it. And the US dollar really doesn't have anything backing it, does it? Well, back in the good old days, it was backed by gold. That was when the United States was really strong. That was when we had things somewhat figured out, but they messed that one up too. They took us off the gold standard. And when they did that, the US dollar was really just the full faith and credit of the United States of America. Which, hey, by all accounts, is actually pretty good. Because the United States of America is the greatest country in the world, and the United States of America is the strongest country in the world, the wealthiest country in the world, the strongest military in the world. So, if you've forgotten any of that stuff because you've gone too far one way, well then move. You don't need to be in this country. If you don't want to transact digital currency, if you don't want to transact the US dollar, there's always Switzerland if they'll take you. You could always go up north to Canada. I mean, I guess Russia's probably accepting people. They'll enlist you right into the military just like that. So when you start thinking things are so bad here in the United States, start looking at the other side. Because it's how you look at things that will change the way you do things and the way you react to things. When people react negatively to what's going to happen with the dollar and with the digital currency, it's because of your perspective. You know, hey, maybe it will actually be a good thing. I don't really see how, because giving the government more control to shut off anything they want, like, hey, if you get yourself in trouble and you want to hop a plane, go somewhere else, well, you're not going to be able to because you can't buy a plane ticket because they control that. And they just flag you and they flag your accounts and boom, you're done. But I don't know, I think they can do that now. And they do that with your ID, they do that with your passport. There's always ways around it. But you see what I'm saying? It's perspective. If you think the digital dollar is going to be so bad, how is it really that much different than what we do today? So let me transition over across the oceans. You've got Russia and Ukraine in a war. And if you've been paying attention, you got Russia meeting with China. And there's been rumors, I don't even know if they're rumors, but they're talking about changing something that hasn't been changed for 100 years. So if I really think about what that could be, what has not been changed for 100 years? Boom, currency. What currency is the world using to trade oil and all the other things? What's the leading currency? Well, it all starts with the petrodollar. Because if the US dollar is used to value oil, and now all of a sudden, Russia and China and Saudi Arabia, one of the largest exporters of oil, all start talking and saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't trade oil and exchange oil in US dollars. Maybe we should use another currency. Whoa. Newsflash. The Fed, okay? All of you know what the Fed is, the Federal Reserve. Their number one job, again, above everything else, is protect the dollar. The Fed will do anything to protect the dollar. And you know what anything is? Let's look back in history. War? The Fed funds the wars. That's right. So it's an incredibly profitable thing for a country to go into a war. And the Fed knows this. So if the Fed's number one job is to protect the dollar, and already the dollar is being threatened by Russia, by China, and, well, the Saudis in there as well. And you can also throw India, because India is kind of somewhere in that mix. And if you really think about China and India, those are the largest populations, the highest density of population of anywhere in the world. They use a lot of oil. And Russia supplies a lot of oil to them. Well, because it's just easier for them to supply it than it is for the US. And because right now, Russia doesn't really like the US too much. And by all accounts, it doesn't seem like China likes the US very much right now. It kind of makes sense. Hey, let's get together and let's talk about this oil thing, and let's talk about maybe exchanging some oil in a different currency other than the petrodollar. Now that's scary. So then I sit back and I think about it and I'm like, could that be why we're talking about the CBDC, the digital currency. Could these bank collapses be part of something that gets the American public to look at it and say, hey, there's a problem, maybe we need fixing? And just like always, maybe then the Fed comes in and says,
Hey, we've got the solution.
kind of like how they solved the inflation problem, right?
Well, we've got the solution. Yes, I know we helped create this inflation problem by printing $5.1 trillion and thinking nothing was going to happen. Then, when we actually had an inflation problem, we said, nope, transitory, nope, not a problem. Then all of a sudden, we're like, oh, yes, it is a problem. Don't worry, we've got this one. We're just going to raise rates at unsustainable levels 7 times in 2022. Oh yeah, and then we're going to keep going in 2023. Oh, by the way, we're also going to unwind our balance sheet and start pulling money right back out. And we printed the money, we put it in, and yes, we're going to take it right back out.
How much money? Well, I don't know. Their balance sheet has exploded to about $8.9 trillion that they're holding of US Treasuries, and that's what they're going to unwind to the tune of $95 billion a month. You all know this, I've said this before. But they seem to keep printing money, don't they? You know, this bank thing just happened, so I think they printed about 400 billion, and then this other thing happened, and in this Ukraine thing, they needed some money. They just keep printing more money. So are they really unwinding the balance sheet, or is that just a tactic? Nonetheless, all this stuff could play into one single solitary thing, and that is the digital currency. It's been all over the news. I mean, check it out. Right here, right here, right here, right here. Oh yeah, check that one out. But at the end of the day, it does come down to one thing. And I said this earlier, control. They want to control everything we do. And with a digital dollar, well, they can. They control how much you get. They control what you spend it on. I mean, in a good way, if they were really going to do this the right way, they could control what we eat.
They could say, nope, based on your last medical results, you're a little bit overweight, so we're only going to allow you to buy fruits, vegetables, and healthy foods.
I'm not saying that would ever happen, but they could. They could literally control what we can use our money for. Because in this country, like I said, the dollar is the only thing that we can exchange, which means it's the only thing we can buy food with, fuel with, airline tickets with, entertainment with. It's the only thing that we can exchange for all the things that we buy, all the things we drive, and all the things we own. So how does that affect what we teach and what we do with Be Your Own Bank? It doesn't. Because if they switch to a digital currency and we happen to live in the United States of America, guess what has to happen? Everything switches to the digital currency. But that does not mean that you still can't be your own bank. It does not mean that you still can't control how the money that you have in your banking system flows. And it does not control how much money you can make. But it adds a bit of complexity to the entire thing, because if they want, they could just shut it off. Kind of like electric vehicles. Why is it that I always have such a strong stance against EVs? Well, number one, my strong stance against EVs is because it's not a sustainable model. They want to push EVs to everybody. They want GM to only offer EVs. Well, that's because the US government owns 61% of General Motors. If you don't remember, they went bankrupt in 2008. So yeah, that's why General Motors is pushing so heavily to this new EV model. It's because the government, their business partner, wants them to. Even though the EV model for GM is not profitable at all. Hence why they have to ask their salaried employees, 58,000 of them, to say bye, to leave. That's gonna have a big impact. Wait for that one to hit. Coming to a theater near you. So you haven't heard that in the news yet, have you? No, because it's in the white papers that you're not reading. If everybody drove EVs, that means they control where you can go in a roundabout way. Think about that. Because Ford is coming up with software that will allow them to literally shut your EV car off if you don't make the car payment. Well, is that where it stops? Nope. If you get yourself in trouble and they don't want you to go anywhere, they just shut your car off. This is the control I'm talking about. So how did I go from digital currency to EV? It's kind of the same thing. Control, control, control. All masks with this little balloon put around it called climate control, right? It's all about climate control. Have you ever researched how they make the lithium batteries that power those and how they dispose of those batteries? You want to talk about something that's bad for the environment? Why don't you look at that? Oh, and what about charging your car? Okay, do you think the charging of your car comes from all those windmills and those solar panels? No, it comes from burning oil. It comes from burning natural gas. It comes from burning something that creates that electricity. Now, I know not all of you are gonna agree with me, but that's okay. We can agree to disagree. And the same thing with the digital currency. A lot of you are gonna say that this is a terrible thing, this is gonna ruin everything. And I'm gonna sit here and say, you know what? It's all perspective. It's how you look at it. You wanna live in the United States of America, therefore, you're going to just have to deal with whatever it is that they do. Because hey, we're just along for the ride. But you can figure out how to play the game. You can figure out how to use this to your advantage. I don't have the answers for you yet, because we're talking about a future that we're not in yet. And I live in the present. So all I can tell you is get ready, because it's coming. The digital currency will be a thing. And when it is a thing, I will create videos telling you how to play the system, how to play the game legally, and how you can actually make this all work for you, and how you can be in control by being your own bank. Hey folks, if you liked this video, then check this one out, because that video will teach you how you can be your own bank. And also, while you're at it, hit the like button down below. It helps us out a lot. See you next time.